Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Welcome, everyone. I'm Tatty. Welcome to my channel, Tatty the Medical Chatter, where I am going to be doing a tag. Yes, chatting madly all about a tag. And I'm just a bit upset because my earring has just broken. So, my poor little earring is just the silver has just completely snapped off, which is highly irritating. But I'm hoping I can still do something with it. It's one of my favourite ones. It's all nice and twirly. It's kind of like one of those things you put in the trees, and it spins in the wind. Anyway, I imagine those of you who are visually well will be wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses. They're prescription sunglasses. And I cannot find where I put my glasses. I put them down somewhere, and I will find them later because I want to get this filmed so I can crack on and do other things. However, I can't take myself seriously in them, so I'm probably just going to be a bit squinty. I'll try my best not to be squinty, but we'll see how it goes. I can no longer see the screen now. It's all very fuzzy. Anyway, enough waffle aside. If you are new to the channel, I do not edit my videos. It is one long continuous shot. So it is one shot and no editing. Expect chaos. Clink, 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 clink. So I have a giant mug full of my tags for this, which I'll be pulling out. The first and last tag I have put in the right place. Everything else is just randomized because it's more fun for me that way. It gives me a little bit of surprise about the questions because I feel I do have to prepare everything because I then can't edit and it would just be a lot of I don't know what I'm gonna say. So this tag, thank you so much everyone who voted. I put a thing on the community tabs and asked people what sort of tag, because I couldn't decide what tag. I wanted to do a tag. I've not done a tag video for ages. So I couldn't decide which one to do because there are so many I'm interested in doing and that I would like to do. So thank you so much for helping me with my decision. The words are already burbling. I really appreciate it. So hopefully this will be a lot of fun for you all because it was fun that you wanted. This tag was created by Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. Which is a delightful name for a channel. Their channel is wonderful. They have like a range of different bits and pieces. And if you have not seen their video on this original tag, go and check it out because it's hilarious. And they have a lot of like thought-provoking discussions between them. And I was so kindly tagged. It will be in the description box below. In the description box, I will put all of the booktubers that I mention, links to videos that I mention, and all of the books that I talk about as well. I will put their links to Storygraph so you can go and have a look at those books should you wish to do so. And I was very, very, very kindly tagged in this tag by the wonderful Vada Silverscribe. And it is so long ago that she has probably forgotten that she was the one that tagged me in this when I was looking at my tags to do. So yes, it was many, many moons ago. But finally, it's been on my list. I have a whole list of tags and I try and track who I've tagged, what I've tagged with to kind of to keep a note of it, but tags have got away from me because I've just had so many things. Why am I putting that down? I want a drink, that's why. Okay, so there's just so many tags that I want to do, but we are here, we are tagging, so let's crack on and get this show on the road. So what's coming out the tagger first? What a surprise, it's question number 1, and question number 1 is, do you DNF? Yes, I do. I do DNF. And what I was quite surprised by was I thought if you are new to BookTube or the bookish community, DNF stands for did not finish or do not finish. No, did, because you have read it in the past tense. Did not finish. And I thought this was a new concept to me since coming on BookTube, and it's something that I hadn't been previously good at before and have started coming around to. But actually, I realised that was a lie. Back in my like early teens, I did DNF books. I DNF'd a children's fantasy called, I think it was called The Cry of the Ice Mark. I can't remember who wrote it. The cover was gorgeous. It was hardback. It had got like snow. It got this lovely sunset behind it. It was about this warrior tribe. We had a strong female protagonist. But I think when I was reading it, like the story just kind of wasn't going there. It was too slow paced for me to kind of grip, and I kept not picking. I stopped it, moved on to other things, and then it kind of never went back to it. And I just never picked it up again. I also DNF'd Valletta by Charlotte Bronte. And I think I had made 2 attempts to try and read this book and failed both times because I just could not get into the story. I had no draw to the character. I can't remember the name of the main character. I just had no draw to it. It just seemed like a very kind of gloomy, sad character in a gloomy, sad place, and I just couldn't get into the vibe at all, which was disappointing because I had previously read Jane Eyre and really enjoyed it. And I don't feel that I will ever go back to Valletta. If I do pick up another Charlotte Bronte, it will be Shirley. Anyway, that was a very long answer for yes, I do DNF, and having thought about it, have done so for quite a while, much longer than I thought. Okay, this tag, I don't know what it is, so let's see. Camera squinties. What book do you wish you had DNF'd? Okay, so books I wish I had DNF'd. I wish I had DNF'd Gone Girl by Gillian. Can't remember the name. Gillian someone. But this is a psychological thriller. And I was so excited to read this. I really enjoyed Girl on the Train. And I wanted another kind of well thought of thriller. And so many people were like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. I just loved it. And I knew going in that the characters were unlikable. But I thought we'd have fun with the fact they were unlikable. And I just was not having fun. And I actually kind of like skim read it just to, because I was just losing. I was like, there must be something to this. There must be something that has made people feel so say this book is so good. And I was like, the twist must be this, because I feel that's the only way that people would be just so excited about it. And that was the twist. So I guessed the twist before we got to the twist. Then when I got there, I then skim read it to see, is there anything else? And it kind of like, there was more of the story afterwards. And I suppose it didn't really have like another twist, but it had like, that was the big reveal. But I suppose with the different story directions you weren't expecting it to go in. But I didn't care about the characters. I did not like, there was a fake attempted rape storyline, and I did not like that as a storyline. It made me feel really uncomfortable, just because of these days now where it is so hard to bring people to justice for raping. It is very much a kind of innocent until, well, that's kind of a good thing, but it tends to be, there's a lot of victim blaming in it. And there does tend to be a lot of this culture of, but this person would never do that, so we're not going to believe you. And I felt that storyline played into that idea, and it just made me feel really, really uncomfortable. But aside from that, I can't cope when I have no one to root for. And it wasn't even in a fun way. Like, I just want to see like how badly off the rails this goes. I'm like, you're all idiots. I don't like any of you. Why are we here? Nothing fun is happening. And I think as well, I wanted like a character that is particularly dislikable. The only kind of redeeming feature was that it was really fun to see how Machiavellian they were, and how interestingly things were done. But they made a mistake, and that they kind of lost that power level for me. And I'm just like, it didn't, no. So I skim read it, and then because I was doing it to kind of, because so many people had said how much they liked it, this was back when I was making videos without actually posting them, I wanted to be able to give my full receipt. So I read it all, but I kind of think I could have done that with just skim reading. I don't think I needed to read it that closely. So it felt like a waste of my time. So wish I had not done that one. Another one I read for a book club, which was Moving by Jenny Eclair. And again, this is another one that I thought I wanted to give my receipts on it because it was for the book club. But I think, again, I could have skim read rather than fully read, because, again, it was a waste of my time. It was like a family drama, and those books are really not my vibe. And I think it's good to push yourself in different directions. I do enjoy doing that sometimes. But with this one, there was just so many things thrown into this book with these characters having to deal with. You know, there was drug abuse, there was sexual assault, child abuse, there was anorexia, and as well as like the general plot going on. And like these things were kind of mentioned, but not really kind of unpicked further or explored further. And I'm like, this traumatized person is still just wandering off in the world quite happy, and we've just moved on to a different plot line. It's like, if you're going to throw that kind of level of stuff in, I need to have more of that theme being explored. And has it been in there for any reason other than shock value, or to like add a layer of disaster to this character? I need more from it. I don't like things just being thrown in for the sake of it. I want that theme to be explored. And I found it very slow at the beginning, and I could see what they were trying to do, but it just really was not a book for me. So again, felt like a waste of my time. Which is quite interesting, because I do feel, as I know, what I love about tag videos is that I love watching, before I do mine, I love watching other people's and kind of seeing, so I end up following the tags as I'm kind of collating the questions, and it leads me down wonderful alleyways. And I saw Roz from Scully Deadling at Books had done this tag, and I really enjoyed her. So again, go and check out her video on this tag. It was done a while ago, so if you've missed it, I'll pop it here. Pardon me. And she has a very clear kind of stance on what her views are for this. And you know, she's very like, this is how I feel about things, but if you're different, that's fine. But for me, this is exactly why you do stuff. And in terms of the book club, she was very much like, you've made a commitment to the book club, you have to finish the book. And I feel very differently. I feel like I have so many books that I want to read. A book that is chosen for a book club, yes, I think great, maybe it'll expand my horizons, but if I'm not getting anything from it, I don't feel my horizons were expanding at all from reading Moving. It wasn't like badly written. Like I like Jenny Eclair. She's a great comedian, and she's very clever, and there's so many people that love this book. Wonderful. But it really just was not for me. It was just dull and dire for me. I just couldn't get involved with it. I don't feel I gained anything from this family's story. I felt like I gained nothing from reading that book. Harsh, but true for me. Anyway, so different. I'm quite happy to DNF books. I don't want my time wasted. So another book I wish I had DNF'd was this Fairy Leaked book. It's beautiful. Look how gorgeous this book is. But I think like halfway through, I think I should have skim read and then gone no. But I was reading it with my as a buddy read, again with Vidania Silverscribe and Chloe from Phantom of the Pages, and I wanted to be able to talk to them and say about why I wasn't enjoying it, or why I thought what I thought. But I think on reflection, actually, there are some books where I like to do that, but I think on reflection, it just wasn't that fun. And I think maybe I would just be upfront and be like, look guys, I'm just going to skim read because I'm not having a good time. Like by the time we kind of got to the halfway bit, it's like I'm no longer really caring. And I think I have so many books that I want to be reading, and I think I'm really at that point now where I know that there are so many books in this house that I haven't read and want to read, but also there's so many other book titles on my Storygraph list that I want to read, and so I don't want to waste my time reading books that are not working for me. There are some books that I don't regret not DNFing, even though I didn't like the books. So I do not regret not DNFing two of Sarah J. Maas's books. The second book in the Crescent City series, House of Sky and Breath, And the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I think Akamath, and I can't remember, Mist and Fury, that one. I don't regret I didn't like them, but I think I did skim read them a little bit. No, I didn't. One of them was an audiobook, because I really wanted to go full in on a rant for those. Like, I struggled with the writing, with what was going on, and to the point of it was making me laugh that it was so bad. So I kind of enjoyed rant reading that book, and then had a wonderful ranty video to show to you about why that book was so terrible. If you're interested in those ranty books, I have got it was a June this year and a July, so June 2023 and July 2022, if you wanted to go and check out my rants on those books. But I had a great time ranting, so I don't mind keeping reading a book if I'm getting something from it. And what I was getting was a wonderful rant, and sometimes it just feels nice to rant about something. So I didn't mind that one. Okay, what are we on? 16 minutes and only 2 of the tags done. How standard. The next one is, what popular book have you DNF'd? So one I'm sad about, and one I'm just generally happy to slate. So the one I'm sad about is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. I was reading it as a buddy read. I was really excited about it. I love The Lord of the Rings. I need to reread The Hobbit. I enjoyed The Hobbit, but I can't remember my time with The Hobbit, so I definitely need to reread that. But Lord of the Rings, love Lord of the Rings. And I'd been rereading it, listening to the Andy Serkis audios, and just having a wonderful time and just enjoying the language and that back in the world. And it was just delightful. So I was like, yes, I'm ready to read some more Tolkien. Come on. So I got The Silmarillion. I started reading The Silmarillion. And I know that everyone says, the first bit, it's very like, like a history book. You've got to kind of let the land be laid, let it settle in. I was like, okay, that's fine. I can cope with that. And basically it was like the creation. It was like Tolkien's version of the creation from the Bible. And it's very mystical. And I'm sure if it was like accompanied by illustrations, it would be a lot more engaging. But just reading it, I was like, I don't think I need to remember all of these things. I don't think I need to know about the songs and whatever else it was that made hills and mountains. And then you get so many different deities. And I was like, when are we getting to the bit that's like the history part? Like the moment I don't need like the science of the world. I don't need how everything was possible. And the tone of the book was very biblical. And if you've ever tried to read the Bible, it's very hard. And it felt like that. And I'm like, why am I reading this? What am I getting from this? And then I think I'd read over 100 pages of this book. And we were getting to the bit where I've been told it got better, where we are starting to have like some elf characters. And I'm like, I can't keep track of all these names. I don't know why I care about who they are or where they came from. I'm not having fun. I'm just reading the words and they're not going into my brain. They're floating out again. This isn't going to work. So sadly, it didn't work. And I was like, I'm sorry. I have to just put this down and walk away and never pick it up again, because I'm not gaining anything from this experience. I'm just bored and confused. No one wants to be bored and confused. So I put it down and I'm happy with that decision. Even though it saddens me that was the case. I really wanted to enjoy it. But hey ho. Tolkien, I'm just going to stick to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Sorry. Sorry. A book that I don't care about is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And if you have seen some videos that I have done this year where I tried to read another of her books, Spinning Silver, I had a much better time with that one. But I do speak of my time with Uprooted. Oh, Uprooted was just again, I'm not having fun with this. So Uprooted is the story of, it's very kind of fairy tale-esque and kind of like, it's got this like very sort of like folktale nature wizard world. And there's a little village and there's a girl that's sacrificed to the dragon, which is the wizard. And the wizard comes and selects a girl. Everyone thinks it's going to be the perfect girl, but he ends up choosing the clumsy girl who's our protagonist, and we don't know why, and she doesn't know why, and everyone's very confused. And then she has to go to his tower where she will stay for X amount of years and will be released with money, and they never stay in the town, they go off somewhere else. So we have that, and then the wizard is just horrible. He's rude, he's arrogant, he's just nasty. I just do not like him at all. He's horrible, and has no compassion, has no ability to teach, no patience, no clear explanation of anything. And our protagonist, I didn't really kind of get under her skin. Like, I understand her situation, but I couldn't find anything to like pull me in and make me go, I really care about what happens to you. I was just kind of existing next to her. And then they start, she has magic and he decides to teach her. But there's kind of like growing unease of this wood. So this is the only bit I liked. I liked the fact that we have this wood that is kind of like more alive than you would expect and seems to be like moving and kind of like taking over the land, and people go in and don't come out. And that was all very, very intriguing. And there's like a plot that kind of gets involved in that, but I hadn't even got to that point where I'm like, why are we here? What are we doing? She goes back to help the village with something, then goes back to the wizard. I was like, why are you going back to the wizard? And there seemed to be an attempt of a kind of a romance between the wizard and the girl, and I couldn't see it. I then skim read, and he doesn't change. He's just a nasty piece of work the entire book. And I don't understand what we're supposed to like about him. Short-tempered, blunt, cruel words are not endearing in the slightest. They're just mean. And I couldn't get involved with that. And because of that being her judgment that she was kind of like liking him, I was like, I can't get on board with you with this weird decision. I can't root for you. The friend disappeared and I kind of didn't care at that point. I really didn't care. And as I skim read, the only kind of thing was like, do you know what? I just kind of want the trees to eat all of them. I would just enjoy that. I don't fully know what happens because I just DNF'd it. I skim read, at some point there were other things happening. There seemed to be a bigger plot with the wood and kind of like the crown prince, or like the royalty of the world, and I think she improves her powers or something, but there was just nothing. As I was skim reading, I'm like, I'm not excited about anything. I have no feelings towards anything. This is just a mess. It just feels like a mess, and I don't want to be here anymore. And I knew that some of my friends were going to be reading this book. So Vidania from Vidania Silver Scribe and Talia from Bandana Book Mum, who loves spinning silver, started to buddy read Uprooted. They did not like it either. And I was very restrained. And I was like, oh, I didn't enjoy it, but I hope you have fun. And Vidania has the best gifts. So she has this gift that's amazing of like this, the way it's done, I think it's like a tractor that has managed to like pull down a tree, but the way it's kind of shot, it looks like this tree is just bashing this tractor and like attacking the tractor. And that was kind of like, that's kind of what we want to happen. Come on, the woods, attack the people and just destroy the story. It was not fun. I do not like Uprooted. There we go. New tag. So tag 3 is this one. Is there a difference between a DNF and just putting it down a bit? Yes, there is. So I call this pausing. And I have a pile of pauses here to kind of let you into my little way of reading so you can understand why these are not DNFs and are very far from DNFs. So I have 7 pauses. I will try and be a little bit more speedy because I have just rambled on quite a lot. So, Wearing My Mother's Heart by Sophia Thurker. This is a wonderful collection of poetry, and I've only read this much of it. The reason for this is because I was buddy reading this with Kemi from Violet Pages, and we said we were going to chat on Sundays and that was going to be a poetry thing, and I completely forgot. Because I'm a moron. And yes. So we then tried to arrange it for a different time to talk about it and kind of just did a little bit back. And sadly, it just never kind of took off the ground because then that correlated with Kemi just being really busy and just having to like come off booktube for a little bit and all kind of things bookish and was in a bit of a reading slump. So I just kind of left it. So I need to kind of be back into that kind of mindset of just being ready for some poetry. And because I've got such a long list of like projects and books I'm reading, there just hasn't been the right time for this one. So it's not a DNF, absolutely not. It was just due to attempting a buddy read, my forgetful brain, and yeah, I mean, just not having picked it up since then, because I was really enjoying kind of reading. The idea was we'd read 10 poems at a time and talk about them, and I still kind of want to do that. So I need to kind of sit down and work out how I want to do that. If I'm wanting to kind of do it in like a little video, maybe I'll do some shorts of reading this book. I'm not sure, I haven't quite decided. So once I work that out and I have knocked out a few more of the stuff that I'm hoping to do on this channel, I will be returning to this one with great joy because it's going to be beautiful. I absolutely love this. Another book, similar thing, of it just not being the right time. So this is a book I have recently mentioned that I am going to be restarting. So it's been paused for a while, just because of other bookish commitments, basically, and me needing a brain to read this one. So this is Black on Both Sides, A Racial History of Trans Identity by C. Riley Snorton. I've read the introduction, but sadly when I came back to read chapter 1, I went, I think I need to read the introduction again because I've kind of forgotten what it was about. What the points were and the themes that were being explored specifically, because it is in very academic language. So I need to have my wits about me, but I'm really interested in the subject matter and what C. Riley Snorton has to say. So I will be returning for it, but again, it needs to be at the right time for me to be able to have the best experience with this book. So those are like recent ones. So I'm kind of just at the point where I'm just going, you're not even paused anymore. Let's just take out the bookmarks, put you back on the shelves, and it's like a restart. These books I have here are restarts that were originally paused. And then I'll come on to series in a minute, actually. So, Bloody Brilliant Women by Kathy Newman. This was definitely a pause. It's not a DNF because I really want to read this book. I just happened to be kind of like picking it up, and I was like, well, I'm just going to read a bit each month, kind of in between. But I've discovered that's not something I can do. Like, it was the same situation with Black on Both Sides. I think with a non-fiction, I do need to commit to it. Like, I could probably read it over a couple of months, but reading a bit, it's too bitty. I need to maintain all the information and be in the zone. I need to be continually reading it. So it needs to be on my TBR fully, and me like fully committing to reading that book this month. I can't remember. I think I'd read like the first 2 chapters and I was enjoying what I was reading, and had like a wealth of names of women that I'd never heard about, but was really fascinated in what they were doing. But I can't remember anything, so this definitely needs to be, this is now restart. Now having weird piles, so let's put you all over here and let's have some more water. And I've been talking for half an hour, so I definitely need water. Also, this wonderful beast, look at this gorgeous cover. This is Upon a Burning Throne. We've got beautiful starlight with this blue sort of like elephant silhouette done in blue tones, and this symbol of a sword and a snake. Yes, it's a snake behind it. This is an epic adult fantasy trilogy by Ashok K. Banker, and this is the Burnt Empire trilogy, and this is book 1, Upon a Burning Throne. I'm very excited for this book. I got this book in 2021 when Jessie from Jessie May and Elle from Elliot's books. She's a big fantasy booktuber. Everyone will know her. She does the World Hopper thing. She made it. They were doing like a buddy read of they're like 10 books that they hadn't read but felt they really wanted to read, and they were going to read a book a month and have like a little live show chat about them. This was their book for May, and they kind of fell off that timetable as well. I didn't manage to get it finished for May because there was so many other things I was reading, and then in June I did the Olympic Games readathon and got really competitive, and I'm like, it's massive. I need to not have this on my TBR for this one, so it needs to go because I want to take part in the Olympic Games. So I was like, I'm going to pause it and get back to it. But I never did, because then I really got into like finishing off other series, and this one I just started. So I still got it. I've still got... So I got here. I got this far. And I have the list of the characters here. And I also was reading the Mahabharata at the same time because it's inspired by the Mahabharata. So I really wanted to kind of know what was going on with it. But it's been so long that I'm taking it out now. It's gone. I've now no idea where I got up to. So I will be rereading this from the start at some point. Restarting. So it's a restart. Also, I have this reread that I'd paused. I paused this last June, so not quite as far away as Apollo Burning Throne. This is Oathbringer, the third book in the adult epic Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. This is a reread, but it's my first read in this beautiful copy. So this is the US hardback, but I don't, with beautiful end pages. Look at these. I really love the US hardbacks in that UK didn't really have any until recently. Oh no, they did. They did. I just never seen them. Anyway, random tangents. I like the US hardbacks because I like the fact that all the books had a different colour, and you have this embossed shard blade on the front, and you have gorgeous end pages. So I really wanted the US hardbacks. However, I hated the covers. I didn't like the jacket covers, so my plan was just to have them naked. But then, I think, was it Kraken books that do covers for fantasy books, brought out these, and are going to keep bringing them out as Sanderson does more of these. So I put this on the cover. Anyway, again, random tangent. I was rereading this and doing a Stormlight read-along with some people from Shell Space, one of which was Bridget. And I basically kind of just abandoned Bridget, and she was just reading it by herself. Because, again, I got distracted by a readathon. I got distracted by Whatever You Want-a-thon that year. And I wanted to be competitive, and it's mahoosive. And then July, I started focusing on other things and just never got around to picking it up. And so, yes, it's on a reset. I'm hoping to get to it very, very soon. Finally, I have A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. Now, this could have been a DNF. That's why I kept it till last. Could easily have been a DNF. But I'm reading it for my Chatties Challenge, which is to read 7 years of Goodreads Choice Award fantasy book, top 3-ish. And so I wrote a list of them because there's most of them I hadn't read but wanted to. And then I was going to do a set of fun videos, which I'm still going to do, about my predictions, which I think is the best year, my personal ordering of the books. So all of this Shades of Magic trilogy was in there. And unfortunately, I just got... the first one was okay. I liked the concept, but it wasn't executed as well as I wanted it to be. Second one, we got a lot more character work, so I was like, I can get into this. This is fine. We'll ignore that bit. Maybe it'll all come together in this one. So I had a lot of hopes riding on this one. And all the excitement set up at the end of book 2 was resolved within, as I still have the bookmark in, was resolved within this teeny tiny bit here. So all of this, like, what was the point? It's like we've gone back to square one of everything's fine, apart from maybe the big bad. And the big bad is not that exciting right now. It's a lot more interesting when there was more of a human aspect to the big bad. So got really angry. I was like, I'm going to be rant reading this. I want to give the book more of a chance. As much as I enjoy a rant read, I didn't want to rant read. So let's have a break. Let's move away. And when I feel ready, I do feel ready for it now. It's on my September TBR. It's kind of one of my priorities for September. I feel really ready to kind of get stuck back in. I am going to skim read the bit I've already read. I'm not going to full on read it. I'm going to skim read it. And we'll see whether or not I can tell that I'm doing weird things with my eyes. I'm going to come closer so I'm not squinting. I can brain thoughts, words. I don't know if I'm going to fully read or if I'm going to skim read and kind of count it more-ish as a DNF. But for now, it's a pause. I'm going in with the intention that I'm going to read it properly. I'm intending to, so I can give you all the receipts for that planned set of videos. And I'm not going to worry about talking about the series because I think that's a different thing and I've spoken too much already. So those are my paused books. I pause books, and I think it's important to pause books because I think you want to be in the best ready way for reading, because it does depend on your mood. It does depend on kind of like what you're expecting, what you're wanting, your mental levels at that time, what emotional state you're in as to what book is going to suit you in the here and now. And I want to enjoy my books as much as possible. So therefore I need to be in the right brain space for them. I need to be in the right mood for them to do that. I need to feel that I've got time to enjoy them rather than it being a tick list to kind of deal with. So that's why books are paused, and I think it's important. I hear people using the terms like hard DNF, which is what I would call a DNF, and a soft DNF, meaning they might return to it, and that's what I would... No, I don't know. So this is my question. Is there a difference between a pause and a soft DNF? And I'm going to talk about more of that later because I think there's a tag that kind of fits that chat a bit better. Let's do another tag. What is in the tag of tea? We have, tag number 3, which is... Oh no, I just put that one. I just did that one. I did tag number 3. I just put it back in the tea because I'm stupid. Okay, what's this one? This is tag number 8. So tag number 8 is, do you choose more or less risky titles because of your stance on DNF? I'd say if we're trying to do a simplistic answer, I would say that I am happy choosing a risky title because of my stance on DNF. I think definitely from doing this video, I think I have a much stronger stance on DNFing than what I presumed. But I don't DNF as much as some people. And so maybe I am more in the middle, because most people, when you pick up a book, is because you really want to read it. Like, whether that's you want to read it because you want to set yourself the challenge, stretch yourself, or whether you want to read it because you think it's going to be really enjoyable. Most of the books I read, I'm reading because I enjoy reading about that particular genre or theme or representation. I have an interest in it. I'm excited about it because I've heard other people saying wonderful things and I want to find out as well. So that enjoyment factor tends to be the main reason behind picking stuff up. I have got books that I don't usually, that I think I'm not going to vibe with as much, or it wouldn't be my natural choice, which is why I sometimes feel in the mood for that. I feel in the mood to try something different. I feel in the mood to challenge myself. So that's why I think it needs to be the right time for you. And like I said, if I'm not having a good time with something, and I think from what I've just discussed, I think I feel more happy to do things like skim reading. But generally, I think looking at like my wrap-ups and things, I often do struggle to choose which is the worst book of the month. I try and do the least favourite and the favourite. And the least favourite can sometimes be as hard as the favourite, because most of the books were really enjoyable. I don't want to call any of them like a least favourite. But I like doing it because it really makes me reflect on my reading and why and what I'm wanting from my books. So I think that generally I don't DNF a lot because what I'm reading is enjoyable. So I have felt able to trust my own judgment of what I'm reading and find a measure of pleasure in there for me, and kind of know what my vibe is and which booktubers, and the way booktubers sell books to you. I know which boxes of mine that's going to tick, which if it's a no thank you, you enjoy yourself, but I'm not touching that, or if that sounds interesting, or I really, really, really want to read that one. So that is my feelings on the subject. Okay, tag number 7 is, what do you do with books you DNF? What do you do with the books you DNF? So, book I DNF'd recently, I gave to my husband because I thought he might enjoy it. And I didn't really have any of the DNF books to show you. One was a library book. 2 were library books. And the other books have gone from my house. So the books where I really didn't enjoy them, I owned Gone Girl, I owned Moving, they're gone, they've moved. How entertaining those titles are to me. They're not in the house anymore. So yeah, they do not stay. They go. Usually to a charity shop, unless I know of someone that might want them. I think I might have passed Gone Girl on to a friend that wanted it. But I have some books that I have decided I haven't read them, but I don't feel I want to read them. And I'm going to take them today to there's a little free library by the park at my children's school. So I'm going to be popping those books in there because my children have taken quite a few books out of there. So I'm going to be popping some back in. So that's that. Okay, next tag. I've already done that one. I need to start putting the tags back in the tea. Okay, what is this one? This is number 6. Do you ever reattempt to read a DNF? Has this ever been successful? No. I think for me, I hard DNF, not soft DNF. If it's a soft DNF, I think I call that a pause. So are there differences between pausing something? Because like, I suppose, no, this was just I didn't get back around to reading it. Yeah, so I suppose this one that I'm now going to read could be labelled a soft DNF because I wasn't having fun with it, but I knew I was probably going to pick it back up and read it again. So maybe this was more like a soft DNF. But I think I always knew I was going to pick it back and read it again because just waiting for the better time. So yeah, I think I'm more of a hard DNF. It's definitely, I'm not going to finish it. I never want to read it. I don't want to pick it up. I don't want to touch it again. No, I don't want to. There's many other books I want to. But I'm pausing because it's not for me right now, but it might be in the future. So that's a pause. So yeah, I don't think I use the words soft DNF to describe my reading. So no, I do not attempt to reread a DNF, and I don't see why I would when there are so many other books out there. I know you can never say never, but I think I'm going to say never. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say never. I don't want to read Valletta. I don't want to read the Silmarillion. Nope. But I will do second chance authors, and I have done videos on that. I've already mentioned it. So I will give authors another chance. Perhaps. We will see what they come up with. Let's do another tag. So final one is number 2. If you DNF a book, does it count towards books read for the month? Now this was actually quite entertaining for me because when I was thinking of my answers as I was reading it, I thought one thing, but then writing it down, I think I actually think something else. So this is actually, you definitely have to go and check out Scott and Nell on the original tag, because they both had completely different opinions on this and had a wonderful debate on this subject. It was brilliant. You should go and look at it, definitely. And I originally thought I was on Scott's side, but actually as I've come to write it down, I think I'm actually on Nell's side. So for me personally, I think they're in my wrap up. They're in my wrap up and they're in my stats video because I've done ones with DNFs before. But I'm like, I think it's because I don't focus so much on the number I've read. I tend to kind of really unpick it and explore other aspects of the book, like how big they are, what's the range I'm reading, what are the genres I'm reading, rather than just the numbers is kind of what I'm looking at from month to month. Because I have such a varying size of books, and I think there's small books that I think are amazing and massive books that I think are amazing. But judging, am I reading more or less? Like, I think it's more about what I'm getting from the books than like how much I'm reading as to whether or not I feel I've had a successful month. And I don't ever set myself a target of how many books to read in the year, because I love reading. I'll always rather do that than pretty much most other things. So I don't need that kind of number encouragement. I don't need to be encouraged to read. I just do it too much. Where was I going with this? There was a point. What was my point? I had one. Oh, numbers, does it count? The tag, the whole point of this tag question. So I think when I have had a DNF within that, I think I go, I've read 7 books with one DNF, or I've read 8 books, but one of those was a DNF. So I clarify there's a DNF involved in there. And I think if I was talking to people, I think I'd say that I read Uprooted, but I DNF'd it. And I'm not very good with reviewing books. I'm quite bad. But I think on Storygraph there is an option to do did not finish. So I wouldn't click it as read, I would always click it as did not finish. So there is that option on Storygraph to do that. And I would clarify as to why that was. If there wasn't that option, I would state strongly in the review, I did not finish this book. And be aware, if it was taking my numbers, that there would be DNFs in there. So I think originally I thought I'd still count it because it was like an attempt. It was like ticking off a book on your list. It was something that you have explored and done this month. But in terms of like as a physical number of something, then no, I don't count it because I've not read it. I actively chose to not read it. And I'm happy with that decision. So there was an interesting argument about like, what if you've read 50% or 75%? I think if I've got to halfway, I think that's my problem with like Violet Made of Thorns. Like I didn't feel like DNFing it until I was like 50-75% of the way through. So it was kind of more towards the end, and things weren't happening the way I thought they might be, and things weren't improving, that I was like whereas I was still very optimistic throughout all of that. But I think that's the thing, like if I've got to 50% or 75%, I feel like I need to like skim read, if not actual read, because I've got so far in the book already that I feel like, well, it's nearly done. Like roughly what happens. But then I don't know how much that is true. Like if I'm not enjoying it, I've now said I really wish I'd skim read Violet Made of Thorns. So who knows? But no, I do not count them. I do not count them as books read. I thought I would. I'm happy for other people to do that. I think that's completely fine. And I think it's very valid. I get it. That 70, like if you've invested that much of your time, it still counts as something you read if you're a numbers person. But I'm not a numbers person. So it's like, no, I haven't read it. I haven't read it. But I'm going to talk about it. But you need to know that I haven't read it because that's how much I didn't like it. There we go. So let's get the final tag out. And I think we know it is tag people is tag number 9. So first of all, tag, you are it. If you have not done the DNF tag, do the DNF tag. If you don't have a YouTube channel or any social media where you express your views on it, please put it in the comments. I want to know your answers to this. Do you DNF? All of the things will be below. Do you DNF? How do you feel about DNFing? What's the most recent book you've DNF'd and why? I really want to hear about it. And now I'm going to mention some booktubers, so please go and check them out because they are all wonderful, wonderful people. It's very hard choosing people to tag in your videos because I'm always like, oh, but I want to tag everyone. But I'm tagging people, actually no, there is a couple of people that I have tagged here before, but there are some new ones. So I already mentioned her in this video, Kemi from Violet Pages. I would love to know your stance on all of this, Kemi. Because I know that you've kind of had like ups and downs with some different reading kind of aspects, and you are very much a mood reader and like wanting to read things that you are feeling the vibe for, which I think is fantastic. So on that line, I'd love to know your stance on DNFs. So please do the video and let me know. And if you've not checked out Kemi's channel, you absolutely should. She's so much fun. If you want a warm-hearted just chat in front of the camera, that is what you will get. You will just get lots of enjoyment. And if you have if you are non-fiction or mystery, she's giving you a lot of that, so definitely go check her out. I want to chat let's try that again. Let's drink some water. I want to tag someone that I've been recently kind of chatting with, and that is Kat from the Fairy Librarian. Kat, I'd love to hear your experience with DNFing. Kat reads a lot of fantasy books, and within the fantasy genre there's a whole range of kind of different types in there. There's urban fantasy, there's YA fantasy and adult fantasy, there's fantasy romance, there is like epic fantasy, high fantasy, some more humorous fantasy. It's a big range, and there's some sci-fi in there as well. So if you enjoy all of that, do go and check Kat out. Go and give her some love, because she is very new to BookTube, and we all remember what it was like during those early days of BookTubing, where every subscriber count, every watch on your video, you were just waiting for. So go along and give her some encouragement. Check out some of her stuff. She has really kind of like interesting thoughts about the books she's reading, and is really reflective on it about what works for her and what doesn't. So do go and give her a good look up. I would also like to tag Charlie from Charlie Brooke Reads. I was actually watching one of Charlie's videos today. It was her most recent like weekly wrap up, and she spoke about rereading a book that she DNF'd, putting it on her like September TBR. And I did have a little look, and I couldn't see that she'd already done this tag. So Charlie, please, if you have time, could you do this tag? Because I'd love to know what your thoughts are on DNFing, and do you use the terms hard DNF, soft DNF, and pausing, and what is your kind of philosophy on all of that? Would love to hear. Charlie reads a lot of, is very kind of like, she reads a lot of different things. She's currently kind of working her way through the Booker Prize and rating and ranking the Booker Prize as she's reading them. So go and check out her channel. Even if that's not kind of a usual vibe of reading, like she is a really, really lovely person, and you will get a lot of out of watching her videos. I would also like to tag Oliver from the Chaotic Bibliophile. Oliver reads a huge amount of different things as well. Again, his reading is very kind of different to mine, but I'm really fascinated on hearing him talk about the books and his passion for the books that he reads. So Oliver, I have no idea how often you DNF books, what your stance is on DNFing books, and some of the books you have DNF'd or wish you DNF'd. I would really love to hear your opinions on that, because I think it will be quite entertaining. Also, go and check out both, Oliver, Charlie, Kat, Kemi, all really lovely booktubers, really lovely, warm-hearted people as well. So go and give them a little watch and have some fun on their channels. Two more. I feel I tag Courtney quite a lot. Courtney from Tangible Reads, but that girl loves tag, and she is so good at getting those tags going. She will tag, she will tell you, she will go. She's brilliant. Also really love that she's been commenting a lot on my channel, and I feel really bad because I'm absolutely rubbish at watching BookTube at the moment, but I do. Every time I go to a Courtney video, I know I'm going to have a good time. I know she's like my big morning dose of coffee, and she just gives you a zhuzh for life and a boost up. So definitely go out to her channel. And Courtney, I don't know if you've done this tag before. If you have, let me know and I will search through and find it. But if you haven't, please do it. You're not going to hold back. I know you're not going to hold back. You're going to tell us what you think of these books and what you think about DNFing, and I love that. So please check out Courtney, and Courtney, if you can do the tag, I would love to see it. And finally, the last but by no means this would have sounded better if I didn't mumble over my words. So let's pretend I didn't say that, and we'll try again. Take two. Finally, the last but no means least, I want to tag Emily from Novel Novels. I have really similar reading tastes to Emily in our love of middle grade, so I'm so delighted to have found another middle grade lover, and also a lover of YA contemporaries and fantasy as well. But Emily also reads a lot of contemporary fiction, historical fiction, classics. She's got a wide range of interests. across the genres, and she has many, many books, and she loves a good charity shop bargain. So she has so many. So because of that, and because of like the large turnover of books, Emily, I'd love to know what you think about DNFing, and do you DNF, and how do you know you DNF, and how do you know whether or not you're going to enjoy a book? I'd love to hear all your thought process on all of that. And if you have not been to Emily's channel, what are you doing? Go and check her out. She's such a warm-hearted person, and you will have a lovely time. Again, lots of kind of weekly videos and like updates on how she's doing and vlogs and things. So you should definitely go and check her out. And that is everyone. So thank you so much for watching this video. I've already said I'd love to hear from you in the comments, because you know I love a chat. Go and check out the booktubers, go and check out the original tag, and most importantly, happy reading, everyone.